Hey everyone and welcome. This is Hisoka and I'm with my friend Jimmy and my validator partner. Hey Jimmy, how's it going?
Yo, man, it's going good.
So this is episode 1 of a weekly or multi-weekly series where we cover all the latest happenings in the EVMOS ecosystem. Brand new ecosystem crossover between Ethereum and the Cosmos, the bridge between EVM and IBC. And just recently, a couple of days ago, they did their airdrop, the EVMOS token. So it's not a tradable token yet. It's not a tradable project yet. So people are just kind of figuring out how to get their airdrops and what they'll do with those tokens. And some people are trying to stake. And we're going to cover kind of what those first 24 to 48 hours have been like. And there's some questions about errors that people are getting with claiming their airdrops because there's like 2 different blockchains involved. Some people have to claim through like Ethereum. Others are trying to claim through like Cosmo and Osmosis. And there's errors. And while all that's going on, we have like over a dozen projects that are trying to be ready to go at launch when EVMOS becomes liquid. So we're going to cover some of that stuff, and we can just start getting into it. How's that sound, Jimmy?
Yeah, for sure. That sounds good. Where should we start? I feel like the Rekt drop and like the current state on folks' airdrops would be the right way to kind of start things off. What do you think?
Yeah. So EVMOS it didn't raise any VC money. It got like a grant from the Cosmos ecosystem. So like there's no VC tokens to worry about. There's just team tokens, and then there's like a community fund, and then there's liquidity incentives that are going to go out over time. And a huge amount of those initial tokens are going to the community. I think it's like 50% of tokens are going live. 200 million tokens are being airdropped to the community, and it's being split up between Ethereum users and Cosmos users. Jimmy, do you want to give a little rundown of how that works?
Yeah. I'm checking out the FMO's blog right now. Maybe I can also share this. How do I do that?
It's different than anything that anyone on Cosmos has tried to do before. It's like they're trying to get as many people across crypto who are active, involved, and excited about this. And the reason why they've chosen to go to Ethereum is kind of obvious. It's an EVM compatible blockchain, and the reason why they're calling it a Rekt drop is because they're trying to make the people who got wrecked in various ways actually get something good out of it. An example is like people who were they were involved in like iron finance. They're getting some kind of airdrop, right?
Yeah, there's like a bunch of they call it, their section is called like the rugged, right? So MEV victims, people who got like sandwiched, attacked. I think I'm not exactly quite sure what this EIP 1559 thing is or some of these other things is, but like some bridge hacks, Pickle Finance was hacked. There's just like a multitude of things where if you got rugged in some like Ethereum protocol, that they're giving you a little bit of something that you should be excited about. And then if we scroll up a little bit more, you can see that folks who've used bridges before, they're getting something that they're getting a little bit of something for using bridges. And I think since Osmosis is like the DEX, the most well-known DEX on the Cosmos ecosystem, like users and stakers of the Osmo token, they were getting like a good chunk of part of this airdrop as well. So I think this was like a really interesting way, and surely it got like a bunch of attention too, right? Because anytime there's any kind of like exploit or any kind of hack, it travels across the crypto sphere very quickly. And they kind of just leveraged that, and they were able to get like a ton of hype and something unique, and it was really cool. So even though it's really complex, they made a really nice like dashboard that's supposed to be going live here pretty soon. If you go to, I think it's rekdrop.com, right? Where they're showing you, like some dashboard where you can check out like who's eligible. Yeah, you go in, connect your wallet, who's eligible, how many tokens they're dropping, uh, how much gas was used on it. 11 was that 1,142 trillion gwei. I don't even know how much like actual Ethereum that is, but dude, that's just like so much. I myself just got like a tiny bit. I got like a little bit more than 20 or so. But this dashboard is not quite ready just yet. So for those eager, the community has like spun up a bunch of third-party tools that um, are helping you kind of just collect and claim your rewards. And they're kind of doing it in like almost like a gamified way where you have to go through a few steps to claim the entirety of your of your tokens, right? I think there's 4 steps, and let's see. So I think that the 4 steps are: 1, they want you to practice staking or practice practice staking your EVMOS, right? 2, you can practice voting in governance. 3 is doing IBC transfers. And then lastly, interacting with some kind of, what do you call it? Some kind of smart contract. So obviously for like the last few days, we're making blocks and there's like no actual apps and the token's not trading yet or anything like that. But so those are like the 4 categories. Right now you can only do the top 3 or something like that. Yeah, I think the top 3. So I think that's kind of cool way. And then there's like a lot of like tutorials have come out and people in like the Telegram chats are trying to help people out to at least claim and stake their tokens immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's been interesting for me is I've been watching the Discords, I've been watching the Telegrams. Some team members on EVMOS, like everyone's kind of used to working in the Cosmos ecosystem, and there's like a certain culture and like it's just like I feel like it's a more patient kind of ecosystem and community as it is, and bringing on everyone on the Ethereum side who is a lot of them are actually kind of new to
Yeah.
this ecosystem. So we've been noticing in the Discords and in the Telegrams, like some people are really, really frustrated with certain bugs that are happening with the airdrops. Like a lot of people are having trouble still claiming their airdrops, and like people are like, I mean, it's a free thing. Like just relax, right? But, like,
Yeah.
they see that, and then they see people who were able to claim it have like 3,000% APRs of this brand new Genesis token. So
Yeah.
it's not a good feeling. You had some trouble claiming your
Yeah.
airdrop, right?
Yeah, I think like my trouble was around like perhaps it was like me just being a noob, like juggling 2 different wallets at the same time. And then the other one was like I think they were having like MetaMask RPC issues. So when I went to go and try to do some of the steps to vote or to stake or something like that, it would just like give me an error. But earlier I was just able to do it, and I was able to record myself doing it as well. So shortly after maybe this video launches or like before this video hits YouTube, I'll try to get that edited, chopped up, and out there so folks can give it a try and kind of watch me struggle and finally succeed with it as well. But just to give you like a quick rundown, what I was able to do was, so my predicament was I have a ledger, I have a MetaMask, right? And a lot of times it feels like the ledger is the thing that wrecks you the most, even when you're trying to be safe. It's just like so counterintuitive and ironic. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I think like if you had a hot wallet with Kepler or MetaMask, you were able to like do everything just fine. But if you had a ledger on MetaMask, you had some issues, and if you had a ledger with Kepler, like you're still having issues. Um, yeah, so like essentially what I was able to do was set up my ledger on my Kepler wallet, and I set up my ledger on my MetaMask wallet. And I had to prepare like a bunch of things on setting the right chains. And we're coming primarily from the Terra ecosystem, so I had to send myself some USD and Osmo to my Kepler wallet, so I had some Osmo ready. And then on my MetaMask wallet, I had to go in and essentially, do the voting. Finally, it was working after the RPC nodes were updated. I was able to stake, so those two unlocked like 50%. And then the last one was like a little bit trickier. Like you had to do like an IBC transfer. So I had to go look at what my equivalent EVMOS wallet address would be for my Ethereum wallet. So the way that I did that was I just looked at the transactions of me staking to our validator, and then I was able to match, okay, this is my Ethereum address, match it with my EVMOS address. And then I went to my Kepler wallet, and I essentially sent I sent my I sent my MetaMask address a little bit of Osmo through the advanced IBC transfer method, just like 0.001 or whatever. And it went through, and I was able to get like another 25%. So I was like, oh, yes. And I staked it all with our validator that we have, and now I can finally join the party and take part in like the 3,000% APR or whatever. So I'm super glad about that.
Were you following some instructions, or were you just figuring that out on your own?
I was following some instructions, but like yesterday and like the day before, I was following the same instruction set, and I just couldn't do it. I think it was just like the RPC issues. But now that the RPC issues are like, I think the nodes are upgraded, and folks on the MetaMask and Ledger, you can finally do it now. Yeah, I was like, man, finally. So
No.
yeah, it's like looking at some of the Telegram chats and like some of the third-party Telegram chats. People are selling this stuff like over the counter for like anywhere between $1 to $3, right? And I don't even know how to price this thing. Like, how do you feel about like the market cap for over the counter trades right now?
Yeah, I put up a tweet earlier today, and there were people. It even went as high as like $4. And there's like a WeChat thing. I posted the link to it in our Twitter, and it just shows you like what people are listing and what things are selling for. And a lot of people are willing to buy for like $2 to $2.50. I see some even up to $3. And then it's hard to know if that's actually what's happening, or if it's just like a bunch of scammers who are like trying to get people to fork over some money, and then like never actually, So there's that whole cat and mouse game. But I mean, some of it's legitimate for sure. And I mean, like the Osmo liquidity pool, it should be happening soon, right? Like any day now.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever's buying this stuff OTC, they're either like giga bullish. They think that like $2, $3 is going to be a total steal.
Yeah.
And then we have the other cohort who's like, I mean, that's like like a 400 million, 800 million market cap if people are buying it at that. And then there's like a ridiculous amount of inflation the first year, because that's just how the tokenomics are engineered. So I did a poll 4 hours ago, and I asked people, like, after 48 hours of the initial liquidity, like, where do you think the price is going to be? And
People don't know. All over the place.
And we got like some moon boys who are like $8 plus, which is like great multi-billion-dollar market cap right off the bat. And then we have like people who are used to like airdrop dumping at TGE, so they think it'll go to like 50 cents. This one's weird. It's like, if you look at the Juno model, like there wasn't much dumping when Juno launched. But when you look at like the Ethereum side of the world, like there's like a lot of dumping with airdrops and stuff like that. So it's like two communities kind of clashing, and it's really hard to know where that's gonna land. Are you planning on like aping into it at the launch, or what's your deal there?
No, so okay, I'll probably now that I know that like when I was doing some transfers, like they're happening fast, right? And they're super cheap. Well, I mean, I don't know how much one EVMOS token is going to cost, but it's like,
Right.
there's like, 3 zeros before the decimal for some of the transactions that I've done already. So um, I'm gonna try to jump in on some like arbitrage opportunities between like the dexes, right? So you've got uh, osmosis on the Kepler side or the Cosmos side, and then you have like what is it? Is it diffusion? And then there's another one, isn't there? I can't. Let me see. Let me pull it up on our like little table here. So we've got diffusion. Wait, I thought diffusion was like a stable swap, so they probably won't be listing it, or will they be listing it?
Diffusion is kinesis. So no, sorry. Kinesis is the stable swap. Diffusion
Oh,
is just like a
okay,
regular DEX. Yeah.
okay, yeah. Diffusion is like the is it the Uniswap fork, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And then I thought there was gonna be one, oh, XSwap, right? So I'm anticipating like diffusion, XSwap, and then osmosis to have them. I think there's like another one too. Like I see on our list here that we have like
Yeah, I've
quantum
been looking
swap.
at Fantastic Swap. They're sleeping.
Yeah,
It's pretty empty Discord for now, but that sounds
yeah.
like they're trying to build some kind of DEX.
So like we have all these dexes, and of course they're I mean, it's like any dex on Ethereum is gonna have like something paired with Ethereum, right? So they're gonna have like EVMOS, the token listed on their deck. So I'm gonna try to get in and perhaps try to do some arbitrage, just like some manual arbitrage. Hopefully, like the bot creators haven't, front run us all already, but hopefully I can, especially like since there's like IBC stuff going on. I don't think like if you are a bot creator or arbitrager on like the Ethereum side, you probably don't know or haven't like set anything up that can go like cross chain or cross like IBC, right? Not just yet, anyways. So hopefully, I'm gonna try to take advantage of um, the osmosis price and then what Evmos lists on the other side. Yeah, so that's my plan would be, but I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I've seen the kind of work you do with bots on the Terra side, so unleashing you onto a new ecosystem is going to be very interesting indeed.
Yeah,
Me as a kind of normal investor, I do have some cash that I want to deploy into EVMOS, and I want to just buy a big chunk, put it into our validator, and just let the high APRs over the next year kind of do its thing. In terms of price predictions, like I've totally given up on trying to know like the next 3 months of a market. It's just so crazy.
yeah,
But I think my evolution as an investor and a crypto person is just like the price isn't always going to go your way, but if it is a good project and it's an interesting kind of thesis, eventually the price is going to go the way you want it to. And the best thing you can do is just buy enough that you're happy to stake it. And if it goes down, 75% in value, as long as you're farming it somehow, some way, uh, and it's not like a trash coin or like a fork of something, or it's actually something good, it's going to come back eventually. And when it does, you'll have like 4 or 5 times the supply that you started with just because you've been farming it.
yeah,
So my plan is to like I have like a chunk of cash and I'm gonna buy 25% as soon as I can. And then if we get that classic like 30-40% pullback when everyone's dumping their airdrops, I'll
yeah.
deploy a bigger chunk. And if it just goes like straight vertical, then I'll just in with a stack and yeah, all into our validator and just let time do its thing. That's kind of my plan there.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, I'll be deploying a little bit and then trying to grow it with like the arbitrage stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Um, but are we any closer in knowing like when the various like dexes are going to launch like their smart contracts, and like who's going to add liquidity? Like that's a big question, right? Like usually with like protocols, normally they'll raise some money and they'll use some of the money that they've raised to add liquidity, right? But because this is like a a whole Cosmos zone and a whole new like layer one, who adds it, right? Is it like I don't even know what like the like the like the Evmos labs or like the software company like behind it, like who's gonna add the initial liquidity? Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing about osmosis is it's decentralized, so anyone can put together a governance proposal and put the thing live. And then of course there's a question of where's that initial liquidity coming from? Like even small projects they launch with like up to $1 million, $3 million worth of liquidity sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, where is this new layer one going to get theirs from? And I was doing a search in their Discord just to kind of get caught up, and many people asked this question. And the answer is basically it's totally up to the community to add their own liquidity to the pool. And just based on that, that's how price is going to be determined. So
Mhm.
the foundation, I'm not sure what they're called, just EVMOS Foundation, let's say,
Mhm.
they're not planning on adding any.
Whoa, that's crazy. Um, okay, so like, but who is doing that? Like, would you personally be interested in adding liquidity? And if not, like, who in the right mindset would add liquidity? Because like you're setting yourself up to getting totally wrecked, right? And unless you're like getting ridiculous emissions from like these other protocols or like from osmosis or whatever, like that's oh, it's such a risky play. Like, who
I
would do that?
suspect, I suspect it's going to be incentivized by osmosis, obviously, but I would
Mhm.
assume EVMOS Foundation is going to also like incentivize it in a huge way.
Mm,
So like whoever gets in early, they have the chance of getting wrecked, but they also have those juicy APRs to
yeah,
consider. That's something to mix in.
yeah. I'm super curious to see what happens. You know,
It's
like
almost like a meme coin launch where it's just like launching with no liquidity, and then
yeah,
they're like,
like who would do it? I actually like since last summer, I looked at osmosis and I was just like, oh, I just can't figure this out. Like this whole IBC thing, it's like so confusing to me. I'm used to just normal Ethereum or like normal Terra. But like venturing off into like the IBC world, I looked at osmosis and I was like, oh, like the APRs are too high. And I like totally faded it. Like since like June of last year or something like that. I remember seeing it like emitting at like 300% APR or whatever. And I was like, oh no, like it's emitting too much. Like it's just a DEX. That's all it is. And I just totally faded it. And then like in preparation for this, I used osmosis for the first time ever. And I was like, holy shit, like there's no gas fees. Like even though I'm using a ledger, you just like press the buttons and it just like does the thing. Or like maybe I was on a hot wall, I don't know, but like it just does the thing. You don't have to pay
yeah,
anything.
it's
It's totally
incredible.
free. And I was like, dude, this is crazy. And like, and of course, like the Osmo token has been on like a crazy run lately too, right? So I'm like trying to take that experience and say like, okay, high emissions. I stayed away from it in the past from osmosis. Um, and I kind of don't want to make that mistake here again with EVMOS. And of course, like they're totally different, right? But yeah, I'm just trying to like draw from my experiences and like perhaps I don't know, maybe like if the incentives are right on whatever decks, and dual incentives yeah, dual incentive like structure that we see. I don't know, maybe I'll jump in to some of these pools as well.
Yeah, and like osmosis is unique. It's its own chain, but it just has the DEX on there. You need osmosis for most of liquidity, so it's kind of like a golden asset. And the community's just, I mean, they've been like diamond handed ever since the airdrops. Like that thing just performed like a monster.
Yeah.
And I got into it. I started doing some LP with it about 6 months ago. Not huge positions, but I took some out of like Akash
Mhm.
and Atom Pool, and I went back in there when they launched with Luna, and I have a little in there. And it's just like once you realize that the community is not a bunch of dumpers,
Yeah.
then you're really in no rush to dump the token. You just kind of let it accumulate to its thing. Then you can stake it for another 100% APR. So it's like this beautiful flywheel that like for some reason no one just ever dumps it.
Yeah. And I think like that's like something like a bit unique around like the Cosmos ecosystem, right? Like when these zones launch on their own chains, um, yeah, these folks seem to be diamond handed. I think like another thing that's around it too is just like the validator community too. um, because you can get stake and rewards and like pull together other folks' delegations for commissions and stuff. It's in like their best interest to just, I don't know, just hold on to it all and let it accumulate and let, not only like the compounding and auto compounding work, but like just give time for the builders to do their thing and to bring more value to the ecosystem. Um, but yeah, okay, cool. So I think we talked about a few things. We talked about the airdrop. We talked about some liquidity, like pricing. Yeah, what else do you want to get into right now?
Yeah, so we can. I mean, we're excited to have our own validator, of course, in the active set. We launched right when the airdrops launched, and it's been an interesting experience. We've been, we built up a lot of presence on Terra, and we're with GT Capital, so we started this validator on EVMOS after having a validator on Terra, and I think it's really interesting, the kind of idea of being a community validator where like you're not necessarily raising money from VCs to do a thing. You don't have like a multi-year like ramp up to like get to profitability. You you have this ecosystem. You've got projects, you've got developers on one side, you've got investors and users on the other side. And if you can be somebody who's in the community, providing like something like a validator, but is also a community asset where they're creating content, they're building tools, they're being helpful in Discords and Telegrams, like they're active on Twitter, they're providing entertainment, they're doing something to contribute in a positive and meaningful way, then people will reward you. And with a few clicks, like you scale that up across like several thousands of tokens, you can build a real business off of it. And the beauty of a validator is, if at any time you kind of stop providing value, like there's someone who's always going to be there to like jump in and get into that active set. So I think it's one of these like beautiful models in crypto, which that's what we want to do with our ValidApe brand. Is if you guys have been following us on Terra, we're trying to build a lot, like bring a lot of what was successful with Terra and the community building and UST. It's like that UST moved on to OSMO a few months ago, and now it's a pair with everything on osmosis. And we want UST to be like the #1 stablecoin on EVMOS too. We want it to be whenever every DEX launches, whenever Diffusion launches, whenever XSwap launches, whenever Fantastic Swap launches, like we want them to think about UST as the main token. So that's going to be kind of our mission with the ValidApe brand. So you're going to come out with content like this on a weekly basis. We have a Telegram news alerts channel, which you can click on t.me/evmosintel. You can go to our website where we talk about different tutorials, publishing some content, but also keeping track of new and upcoming projects. And so far, we did research over the past couple of weeks. We've identified 17 up and coming projects, a couple of which we can talk about next. But the idea is to keep this fresh and to also have some of these founders come on board with interviews, whether it's YouTube interviews or Twitter Spaces interviews. But this is kind of our mission in the EVMOS ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's a bit fluid too, right? Like we're keeping it casual and we don't want to be too serious. And we just want to explore this ecosystem as it evolves, right? And just like to go back on like the thesis around all these layer ones. I feel like the Cosmos ecosystem or the Atom ecosystem and IBC enabling all these different use cases. I think this is like the future of like cryptocurrency and blockchains, right? Like we've seen with other layer ones the challenge when it comes to bridges and the potential like issues around exploits and the vulnerabilities that like bridges have, right? They're just holding so much money that it just attracts a lot of black hats to try to find just the needle in the haystack to exploit all the value that they have. But with IBC and the Cosmos ecosystem, I think having EVMOS join and able to essentially bring all the great parts and bring all the battle tested code and EVM protocols to this like web of interconnected blockchains, I think this is like the real future. And I think, yeah, this is like a space to watch that I'm super excited about and super excited to see unfold. And beyond that, right? Like we met on Terra and we have a Terra validator. Like the thing that we were able to rally around was essentially the UST stablecoin, right? And how Luna collateralizes or essentially captures value of the use cases of UST. And it was such a beautiful thing to see just like every protocol and every user on that blockchain rally around like one use case. And like you mentioned earlier, like one of the things that we want to do is promote UST to these other blockchains, like how Osmosis is now using like UST for a lot of their pairs. Like we want to see decentralized, permissionless, uncensorable money being used on like all of the battle tested, tried and true Ethereum smart contracts, right? But now we can start fresh on a completely new chain that brings like so many good parts of all these different blockchains and all the different ideas kind of together. So that's like kind of one of our, goals to kind of like, like almost like remix and combine both of like these these two ideas together, and really make things better together versus like competing L1s on who's better and who's not. Like, yeah, so like just a little bit of background on why I think this is so interesting and how it combines with what we've been doing on the Terra ecosystem. And yeah, again, just super excited to see this thing kind of unfold here in the next couple months.
What's going to be crazy about EVMOS, especially for me, is like if you look at Juno, if you look at Terra, a lot of what people are building on these platforms are brand new. So it takes time to build the thing, to code it up, to audit it, to like just iterate on it. And Rust is a relatively newer language, and there's a lot of different dApps that are being built for the first time. And then you kind of compare that to EVMOS, which isn't launched yet, but there are 17 projects who are kind of clamoring to launch like within the month of the token going live. And the reason why they can do that is because they're just forking audited Solidity code and making some tweaks and putting in their brand. And it's kind of like a gold rush to see who's going to be the best DEX, who's going to be the meme coin for EVMOS, who's going to be the NFT marketplace, who's going to do the money market, like who are going to be the blue chip play to earn. So it's like this big gold rush, and that's good, and it's also bad because you're going to have to deal with a lot more scams, I think, than you're used to. So there's going to be some cash grabs, and like distinguishing between the good players in the space and the bad players in the space is going to be a big undertaking as well. Like some of the dexes on this list, I mean, I don't know if I like look at the discords of some of them, not to name names just yet, and like some of them are a little shady. And then like I've looked at Kinesis, like I've talked to the founders, like I have a YouTube interview scheduled with them next week, and I think they're doing some really cool stuff with their stablecoin swaps. And like the founders seem really eager and humble and excited to try to bring stablecoins and UST and do what Saddle is doing on Arbitrum and bring it to EVMOS. So, and like all these meme coins coming. There's like the Shiba meme coin and a couple others that I've been seeing. And it's just like, it's going to be like a barrage of things going on. Like, how do you keep track of it all? It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, we're going to try our best, and we're going to essentially like just, get some help and onboard folks that can help us kind of keep everything organized. So, if you're new to the space or you're also feeling overwhelmed, like hopefully we're providing like a one-stop shop for you so you can come in and get an idea of what's going on and start your research from here versus on Twitter. Like that can be get messy really, really quickly. And then I guess like one other thing that I'm like probably keeping an eye on, like you mentioned the EVMOS Foundation earlier, like similar to how on on Terra early on, like we relied heavily on Do Kwon and TFL to kind of let us know like what projects should we keep an eye on, what projects are interesting, and we kind of let them, kind of do the vetting for us, right? And now on Terra, it's like a budding ecosystem, and there's tons of protocols launching, some associated, some not associated with TFL. So I think the same thing is going to kind of play out here, where you can try to do as much due diligence as you want, but like if all the founders are kind of anon, I think then you have to really rely on like their connection and relationships with like perhaps the EVMOS Foundation, or perhaps like other Ethereum projects that they've worked on in the past, and rely on like other reputational signals for you to get an idea like, okay, is this worth it or not? I don't know, maybe like we can do something on like guidance on helping people figure out like if a project is legit or not, right? Like checking out their Twitter engagement or Discord engagement, or their telegrams and stuff like that before aping into a project.
And if there's any founders or aspiring founders of projects on EVMOS, Jimmy's a little humble, but just know that on Terra, he's one of the main consultants for tons of different projects, consults on tokenomics, code. He's made tons of proposals on Terra for like how to leverage the community fund towards liquidity incentives across different blockchains. So he's well connected. He's got a ton of experience, and he can definitely be an asset to helping out with your project too. So if you have any questions, hit him up on Twitter. I'll share the Twitter bios for both of us. And I mean, we're going to do this often, so be sure to subscribe to our ValidApe YouTube channel, and we're going to bring these to you weekly, and tutorials and interviews and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, for sure. I just like love imagining and love just like trying to put these DeFi building blocks together and mix that all in with like UST and what that means for us and everyone who's a Luna holder. So hit me up. Like we can take advantage of the huge community pool that the Terra ecosystem has. It's like multi-billion-dollar DAO, and it's just raring to deploy it to make better use cases for UST and decentralized money. So yeah, hit me up if you have any questions on that. I can help you write your proposal or help you get in touch with the right people. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Hopefully if you guys find this valuable, not only subscribe, but consider delegating to a validator. You can find them, on the links in the description. I'm sure Hisoka will post that. But yeah, that's everything for me. Anything else from you, Hisoka?
Nope, that's awesome. Episode 1 in the books. Thanks, guys. Talk later.
Cool. Signing off. See you guys.